Thanks for coming and sitting here listening to me. I suppose it's better than being outside in the rain. I came down from Inverness yesterday, so if anybody isn't here because of the bad weather, shame on you, then you're not here, so it doesn't matter. I've literally only just finished this, like literally 5 minutes ago, so Alison was like, oh, are you finished? Are you finished? Nearly. Yeah. And Alison asked me if I had any medical problems. I have vomiting and diarrhoea in front of audiences. So we'll see if that happens. So I tried to. I was told I had to do like the best lecture I'd ever done in my life, and I had 20 minutes to do it. 25 minutes. So he didn't say 25 minutes. He said 20 minutes. So I had 5 more minutes. I could have done something even amazingly amazing. I was going to actually crucify myself, and which is quite hard to do. Anyway, so it's just getting the long-handled hammers. Anyway, so yeah, but I just need to say before I start, I'm like a brand whore. I've got my brand whore top on because I actually work for Berghaus. So I said I left it to the last minute, literally last minute. I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm doing the lecture for Howie's, and I didn't get a reply. And just the P45. And yeah, so. I was trying to be all kind of, because everybody else here has been talking about how you can turn children into like compost and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not really like that. I'm not really kind of right on kind of guy. I'm a Nazi, stuff like that, and I think global warming is a good thing, and anyway it is. But we'll talk about that later on. Anyway, so price of fuel going up, that's a good thing. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm going to start with something that's a bit kind of deep. Apparently, when we're born, we have three things kind of hardwired into our brain. 4 things. One of them is a fear of snakes. Then I have a picture of a snake. That's a rope. And the other one is a fear of heights, which is kind of something to do with being monkeys in trees. You have to learn quite quickly not to fall out. I'm not an anthropologist. I don't know if that's true, but anyway. And another one is the fear of the dark. You know, apparently it's something to do with us living in underground when we were, developing as mammals. 80 million years ago, or 6,000 years ago if you're American, and the other one is one I don't actually know what the other one is. The other 4th one is no one knows what the 4th one was, but some people reckon it was the fear of the unknown, but people are too scared to even think about what that means. Anyway, so I'm just going to kind of explain who I am, because we're going to kind of explore 2 of these things that were kind of hardwired into us: fear of heights, fear of snakes, and fear of the unknown. That's actually 3. And anyway, so this is me here. I'm the one in the yellow. This is on the north face of the Drew, a big piece of rock in Chamonix. And people often say to me, why is it going? Keep going. People often say to me, hopefully this will stop zooming through in a second. La la la. Stop. Go to the next one. Anyway, that's brilliant. Anyway, I didn't do it. Yeah, so people often ask me, I'll go backwards and do that one more time. People will ask me what kind of climber I am, really. And people say, have you ever climbed Everest? Well, Everest isn't a climb, Everest is a walk. If you step over a dead body, that's technically a walk. And so the type of climbing I do is kind of really steep kind of rocks and things. And people, when they fall off, they just fall, ah! And you have to step over them, they're just at the bottom. Someone else collects them and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, So, but to get into context of what I do, I'm going to, in literally 1 minute, I'm going to try and sum up my whole life with slides. And so this is where I come from, clean it up. Hull, it's a great place. Like New York, they named it twice. And, they named it once. And this is me, ahead of my time. I'm hanging off a block of flats. Look at this for safety. See that gap there, where a child could crawl through? That's why kids in my day were tough, And the ones who were just too inquisitive just died. And another famous person from Hull, apart from myself, and Norman Collier, no one knows who he is that guy who goes, it with the microphone. Anyway, yeah, and then there's a chicken as well, it's rubbish. And Paul, and Beautiful South. Anyway, it's Robinson Crusoe, who is a fictional character, I do realise that. But it had a big effect. He had a big effect on me as I was growing up. And I grew up here in a block of flats. We're called the Misery Masonettes, not because they were nice. And a massive influence on me was the Humber Bridge, which was opened when I was 10 years old. Really amazing. And I was really into science fiction, that kind of stuff. I'm going to go really quickly through these. I wasn't very good at school. I was in loads of kind of remedial remedial lessons and stuff. Someone who goes, I don't get it. I don't get it anyway. And but luckily I got into climbing and that kind of stuff. And the parts of my brain that didn't work very well were really good at climbing. It meant that I could kind of just think slightly differently. And when I was 19, I found I was really dyslexic, which was quite lucky, really. I always feel really lucky that I was dyslexic. It's like when someone's gay and someone says, "Don't worry, mate, they found a cure for it." I'm a bit like that with dyslexia. People say, "Put these special glasses on." Oh, that smiles better. And I'm really good at snooker as well. Anyway, so fast forward here. So this is me belaying. I'm going to picture me climbing. This is me belaying. This is my friend here, and this is my wife, who's the one holding her hands, looking like a nun. And she actually does like Sound of Music, which is a great film as well. And but you can see she's really terrified, and this has some bearing on the rest of this story. And so I got into climbing, started climbing more and more dangerous things. Luckily, the part of your brain which kind of stops you doing stupid things, the inhibitor part, which 19-year-olds don't have, that's where they die in car crashes and are great in the army. And I didn't have that either, so it never got switched on. This is me climbing an icicle that fell down that long afterwards. And decided to go to the Alps. I went to the Alps. I really wanted to go to the Alps. I went there in the winter time because I couldn't be bothered to wait till the summertime. And it was a complete disaster. It was really cold. There was nobody there, and it was really miserable. And I failed. So the following year, I went back again and I tried to climb this mountain called the Drew, and failed there. And I went with this guy. He was my boss at work, so I got a sack not long afterwards. And then eventually going out the third time, so completely failed the first two times, all the time going in the winter time, because I don't like the rain. And when I went with this guy, he was doing a PhD in physics or some kind of thing like that, some fancy thing. And I was working in the climbing shop, so we were equally matched with our skills. And when he got hit by a rock, he'd say, "Yes, that was travelling at 575 miles per hour or something." And help me. Anyway, and I just said, they're nice boots, $5.99 on the. Anyway, so we were the third time, we were lucky the third time. We went and climbed this route called the Friend or Spare, or the Friend of the Spare. The Friend or Spare is French for something. And basically, it was like 1,200 meters high. It was quite very difficult, and oh dear. And it was the most amazing experience of my life. And halfway up, I dropped my boot, and it went up anyway. And I had to come back again, and da-da-da. And after like loads of attempts in winter, mine got frost nipping my fingers and everything. I got to the top, and I decided that it was the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. It was like the most profound experience I'd ever had in my life. And Aaron decided it was also a very profound experience. And he gave up climbing and never climbed again after this route. But for me, it was it just concentrated on the physics. And anyway, so for me, it was like more and more routes. The North Face to Duats. We went and climbed this and did all these kind of different experiences. And this is a guy being rescued. That was great fun. That was broke his legs. And he was French. And then went to Yosemite in California, like the most amazing kind of mountains with this guy here. Don't smile when it's really dangerous. And this guy was a physicist, and he would a geologist. He'd be saying, "Hey, this is all going to break off one of these days." And this is not supposed to be going so fast. And they went Solo Del Cap and all this kind of stuff. Is it going to stop? No, it's not. And climb this thing here. I'll just press the button as well. And then my wife had some children, and they had nothing to do with me. And this, so I had a daughter, my daughter called Ella, and there's two of us. She's like a Siamese twin, joined at the finger, and it's the best way to be, really, if you're going to be Siamese twin. And then I went to Patagonia. I'm overrunning here. Then I went back to Yosemite, and then climbing is a bit like masturbation. It's great when you're doing it, but other people aren't interested in hearing or seeing it. So I'm gonna hopefully this is gonna. Then I went back to Patagonia again, and I'm jumping decades here, and that was great. That was great fun. And then I soloed the hardest route ever soloed by a British climber. This was in Yosemite El Cap. I fell here from the top of this photograph all the way to the bottom, 200 feet fall. That was great. That was. And people say, "Were you really scared?" Well, I was just really, it's kind of the expectation what was going to happen. It was quite exciting. And this is looking down from the top of this route. It's called the Reticent Wall. So 1,000 meters to the ground. If you fell, you wouldn't survive, unless you landed on a very large American person. And this is me on the top, self-portrait. Then I had a son, Ewan. This is Ewan. He's the one behind the photograph. And but that's him in the picture as well, just to don't get confused. And he still sucks his thumb. Then I went and did the hardest route in the Alps, but route's supposed to be the hardest route in the Alps, so it wasn't that hard. And with my mate, and this is me looking. No, this is me. This is my foot. I love pictures of my feet for some reason. Got some kind of fetish about it. And great days. 15 days on this overhanging piece of rock in winter, drinking out of an old chocolate thing receptacle. And then I started being sponsored by Patagonia. Now that's amazing. Patagonia. When I was a kid, it was so poor that my mum used to get money from the council to buy clothes. And then, like 20 years later, someone's paying me to wear Patagonia clothes. It's like, so it's not all that bad. You might die doing it, but at least you get some nice clothes. Went to Patagonia again. This is a rubbish book, biography of Kirkpatrick. He dies at the end. Don't want to spoil it for anybody. And went and climbed this mountain, had a bit of an incident with a rock, and this is my rope that got chopped. Luckily, I had some gaffer tape, so it's kind of like touching the gaffer tape, kind of like touching the void. And we're almost at the end of my life so far. And this is me. No, this is somebody else. This is nearly died here as well. That was great. And this is me trying to do a new route on the troll wall in winter. That was really good fun. Apart from my partner got really injured and we had to retreat, but I decided to leave all my equipment on the wall and then came back 2 months later and tried to carry on by myself. And I thought I was going to die, and I came back down again. Decided to give up climbing, and because climbing is dangerous. Never realised it before, but climbing is actually quite dangerous. I went skiing with my kids. They went to the park and all these kind of normal things that normal people do. And then got a job in Charlie and Chocolate Factory as a chocolate safety diver, looking after Johnny Depp. Make sure he didn't drown in the chocolate. It wasn't real chocolate. It was washing up liquid. And that was really great. People ring you up and say, what are you doing? I'm looking at Charlie. I'm looking at Johnny Depp. Talking to an Oompa Loompa. Then I decided to ski across Greenland, get back into climbing slowly. I never skied before, and I only started when I got on the ice cap, but it was easy. 600 kilometres, heading one direction, it's not too difficult. And I went with this woman I never met before. Her name's Karen Dark. This is her. She's a very attractive woman, and she's also in a wheelchair. So doubly good, that's what I say. And I love women in wheelchairs, I don't know why, because you can push them around. And people think it's really amazing that she skied across Greenland, the second paraplegic person to ski across Greenland, but she was sitting down the whole way, so it wasn't as hard for her. And we met this woman, another woman. It's amazing you can meet in Greenland. She was an Eskimo or stroke Inuit, and don't stroke an Inuit, they're very promiscuous. And found this was somewhere else, I don't know where that was. And then my wife left me for an IT consultant, but that was much better because he wasn't going to kill himself climbing. And so I started going out with Karen in the wheelchair because I was really into women in wheelchairs. And then I went back to Patagonia last year. We're nearly up to like present day now, and it was really rubbish. It was really, really stormy. And then we decided to go and climb El Cap, me and Karen. So this is El Cap, and we're almost at the end of this bit. And she climbed El Cap, and it was really, really good fun. She really hated it. And I climbed it with 2 lesbians who'd never climbed a big wall before. So there was a woman in a wheelchair, 2 lesbians. There's nothing wrong with that. And even if I'm a Nazi, I don't care. And it was great fun. And it was and then she broke a leg, but she couldn't feel it, so it wasn't so bad. Anyway, so I think that's probably us up to. So hopefully these should stop going now, these slides. Anyway, so let's have a little breath. Because when I was doing that this morning, I was thinking, is that going to work? Is it going to be like just someone saying, yes, I did this. This is me, North Face of Kathmandu. And anyway, so it was only 20 minutes. Don't expect too much. Anyway, so what are we doing for time? Is that all right? And the cat stopped me. And yeah, I've got a knife in my pocket. And anyway, but now you know all about me and my love life, my climbing life, everything else. Children, Ella and you, and Ewan with an E. Think of someone like a drug dealer. That's what I always do. And easy to spell. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about one trip that was really, really important to me, and hopefully you're all going to get something. Some people were crying. Some people wanted to go to the toilets up the hill. It's a bit of a pain, but never mind. And just go in the bushes, but only if you're having a wee. If you're a woman, anyway. So yeah. So I'm going to talk about a trip I did, and this is South America. Anybody doesn't know what it is. I had a pen somewhere to point at everything, but anyway, this is South America. I used to have a picture of South Africa. I'm not very good with maps, and I really hate, any slideshow with a map in it. I'm not very good, but anyway, I'll put this one for people who don't get confused. And this is a trip to Patagonia. Patagonia is one of the most amazing places you'll ever go in your life. It's just like, there's penguins, there's killer whales, what they're doing on the mountain, I have no idea. And but it's just like this kind of elemental place where there's like storms and like they say, Patagonia, it is the eater of men, stroke or women. And It's non-gender specific, but basically it's just a horrendous place where really terrible things happen and people like have horrible disasters. And like one of my favourite kind of climbing, personalities and people I always look up to is Homer Simpson. And Homer Simpson's got this great quote, which is, "Trying is the first step towards failure." And climbing in Patagonia is very much like that. And Homer Simpson would make a fantastic climber. He's got the body for it. Basically, for Patagonia, all you have to do is sit around eating for a month or so and then go home. You don't have to do any climbing. Just go there. Yes, I'm going to Patagonia. Really? Actually, must be amazing. Yes, I am. And then they just sit there like eating, like, listen to the wind. And then you go home again. It's great. And if only I had television. Anyway, so it's got the right kind of brain. Anyway, so this trip was with these three guys. The guy here is Welsh. It's not his fault. It's called Nick Lewis, and he reckons he's descended from the Moors who invaded Wales. The guy in the middle is a guy called Paul Ramsden. He's a health and safety consultant. Great guy to know. He learns about asbestosis, stuff like that. And this guy on the other side is called Jim Hall, and he's a professor of coastal erosion. It's very important when you go climb with people that they've got interesting things. I can talk about boots and DWR, stuff like that. Anyway, and if you know what that is, then shame on you. Anyway, so you fly down to Argentina where Madonna lives, and then you get into you fly down the tip of South America, you get in like a little taxi. The taxi driver's like, "Hey, where are you from?" "Oh, we're from England." "Hey, I was shot in the Falklands War." Anyway, and well, they were very good to him, apparently. They played football with him. He had his leg in plaster or something. Anyway, so you get in this taxi and you go like and this is in the winter time. So when you leave here in the summertime, you get there in the winter time. No, it's not like national, not like kind of British public transport. It's just a different time. I don't know. I don't understand it. It's weird stuff, science. And Aaron would have to be able to tell me. Anyway, so you get there in the winter. Everyone thinks you're an idiot. "Hey, gringo, it is the winter. It is not the summer. What are you doing here?" Because no one climbs in the winter time. Because the summertime is like, oh, you have to be a god to climb in the summertime. Oh, and in the wintertime, you have to be like a double god with anyway, God 2.0. That's how good you have to be. But in fact, we're like God 0.2. And people just don't realise that we're just really stupid. Anyway, so you're driving, you can see these mountains. All I remember is the wind. And this is the mountain called Fitzroy, or Chaltén, and Chaltén means volcano, because when they saw it from the Beagle Channel, they thought it was, a gringo del grande mucho mountanos, or something. And I'm bilingual as well. But not those two women I climbed El Cat with. And so you see this thing, Chaltén, which they thought was a volcano at the time, but it's not a volcano. I'm not a scientist. I don't really understand if it is or not. But anyway, we decided to go and climb this mountain. And the only people who ever climbed this mountain in winter, they got frostbite and nearly died, or died. And one of the two, not both at the same time. And well, you never can tell really. And anyway, so they had to climb this mountain. So as we're leaving, it was like a really long approach of like all these kind of all difficult stuff. And the local said, "Remember, there is no mountain rescue. Whatever happens, it is up to you to get down." And we're like, "Don't worry, mate, we're all right. We climb in the Lake District." And so it took us about 2 days to ski around the back of this mountain. And we got there and we looked at this mountain. This is called the Supercanaletta, or the Supercanaloni, or the Supercanaletta, Supercoolwa. And it's about 1,700 metres high, this face. So that's really high, higher than anything in Wales or Pembrokeshire. And it's just and this I don't know, it's just horrendous. And there's like photographs of like tornadoes inside here, like going up inside this like couloir. And anything that falls all the way down exactly where you're going to be climbing up or climb back down again. So it's a complete kind of suicide mission. And we all stood there and looked up, and we're all going like, "Fuck me, I'm not going up there. There's no way. We're all going to die." And oh yeah, it looks a bit thin up there, the ice, isn't it? Like, yeah. Oh, I don't want to go. But no one said anything. We're all like, "What do you think?" "Yeah, it's big, innit? Yeah. Should we go and have a cup of tea?" Yeah. So we went back, had a cup of tea, and we got up at like 12 o'clock at midnight, and we started climbing. And I remember writing that this was like, you felt like a sheep in a haunted abattoir. You were climbing up, and there's all bits of rust. My dad once took me down a mine shaft once. It was a disused one. And when you're walking down, every bit of rust or something, you thought it was a bone or like a dead miner. It's like a skeleton. So I just kept looking at the floor the whole time. I was so terrified. It was really like that. You're climbing up and it's like, "Oh, what's that? You're going to die." Oh. And it was absolutely terrifying. But because it's so cold, it's really, really cold. All you're thinking about is your cold hands and your cold feet, and you're just climbing, and you're always thinking is like, please let the weather get bad now, so we can escape. But unfortunately, the weather didn't get bad. The weather was quite good. The main problem was the ice, because it's winter time, everything's much more fragile. So the ice, you'd be hitting the ice and it'd be all breaking off and crashing down. At the other two, we climbed in 2 teams of 2. So the other 2 would be behind us. So when you're climbing on ice, the person in the front, the person behind, they're like belaying, and the ice is coming down, hitting them like, watch out, be careful, watch me, watch out, watch out, watch, and when you're going, I don't fucking care, I don't care. So it's a very interesting kind of thing. Anyway. So we're just climbing as fast as we could. So I think it's like 56 pictures of climbing or something, and we got these, got a huge rucksack and all this kind of stuff, and it was just so hardcore. And then we got like about halfway up, and it started getting dark, and we was like, what do we do? Do we like stop here and bivvy, or do we keep on going? And everyone just wanted to get it over with, either get it up or get down, or everyone was absolutely terrified, really. So we decided to keep on going. So we climbed into the dark, and this when it gets dark, it's just terrifying. When the sun goes down, you feel like some kind of caveman or something, So that fear of the dark, fear, like wanting somewhere to be safe, somewhere to lay down. It's just so you just feel it so much when you're on a mountain. And it got dark, and we kept on climbing, until we climbed for like 24 hours, and we were so exhausted, so tired, so thirsty. We had nothing really to drink or anything. And we were just like, oh, we need to find somewhere to sleep. And everyone gets low blood sugar. Everyone starts going, stop, you're pulling me too tight, or like, your shoes are too red, and all that kind of stuff. And people just a bit really irrational. So we're climbing up, and then every time we climb up, we're like, is there anywhere to sleep up there? It's like, no. And the next one, anywhere to sleep up there? No, I've got to keep going. And eventually Jim climbed up and was like, is there anywhere to sleep up there? And Jim went, yes. And we're like, yes. So I climb up, and there's just this kind of big blankness of nothingness. And all there is like Jim, who's just kind of perched there. And it's like, Jim, where's this bivvy ledge? There isn't a bivvy ledge. He said there's somewhere to sleep. Yeah, for me. And there was just this kind of sloping rock. So we had to get our rucksacks and stand in them, in our sleeping bags, which sounds really comfortable, but it wasn't. It was just like, you just kind of like, your head's like pressing on your legs, and he's like, Anyway, so we fall asleep. We tried to there's no snow, we can't melt any snow to drink anything, so we're just really, And then I wake up, and there's this noise, which is just like that. And I thought someone had the stove like right next to my head or something. And I opened my sleeping bag, I looked out, and there was like fog everywhere. And then there was this noise, which was like a jet engine noise. And what it was the wind hitting the top of the mountain. And I was like, shit, we've got to get out of here, there's a storm coming. And someone said, go back to sleep. So I did. And so woke up, like, started getting light, and someone was like, quick, there's a storm coming. I didn't know one say anything. And I did. And then, so we all got up, and we all started, like, grabbing all our gear and all this kind of stuff. And some of the mistake of saying, what do you think we should do? What do you think we should do? As in, should we abseil down as 2 twos, abseil down as a group of 4, and then we'll save 2 ropes in case one gets frozen, one gets damaged, And someone thought to the men, what do you think we should do? Should we keep on going? He was like, do you think we should keep on going? Do you think we should? Okay, let's keep on going. So these eyes are not the eyes of a man who's going, let's have it. Let's have it. So anyway, so we set off. And again, as soon as you start climbing, you're not really you're just thinking about your immediate death, not the death in the future. You're just thinking about not falling off. Oh, I feel safe now. Only for this 1 second. And but we almost got there. That we'll get to this point. This is the summit of Fitzroy. So we've climbed like 1,500 meters or more, and there it is, just like it's like 100 meters away. All you have to do is climb this one little bit and like wander with your hands in your pockets, la 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 la, to the top. But when Nick climbed up to onto the ridge, it was just like there was no way. So he climbed back down again, and we all kind of were deciding what to do, but it was like bloody freezing. It's like winter in Patagonia. The icicles appearing everywhere. And we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And what are we going to do? Are we going to abseil down as a 4 or abseil down as a 3? What do you think? What do you mean? Think we should like bivouac here? Okay. So we started chopping this ledge off out of the ice. It's actually steeper than it looks. You can see like how the body angles are. We chopped this ledge out of the ice, and Paul had this this tent that his mother had made him. And it wasn't really a tent, it was like a big bag, like a big envelope. And it was big enough for 3 people. And it was all tied to the ice with like ice screws and everything else. And we all squeezed inside this thing. And the problem was that you could see that whoever was sewing it wasn't concentrating. And because you could see where they've been going, and they're like watching Kilroy or something. Oh, those Arabs are so dirty. You know, or something like that. And also it was like seconds stamped everywhere inside the tent. And like Paul said, oh yeah, I got it free, this fabric. Oh my God. Anyway, so the wind started like really, really blowing. And the wind started blowing around this side of the mountain. And apparently it got up to 120 mile an hour in the village at the bottom. And this old man said to us later, I don't want to spoil the fact we didn't all die, this old man said to us later, when the brick houses begin to creak, we knew you were dead. And so we're in this tent and it's just like, it's just horrendous. There's just kind of, you know, the whole thing's kind of shaking. And then it sounded like there's like a big rugby team outside, just like pummeling us and punching us. And the whole tent's like this. We're all just sort of sat together, holding onto the fabric. And the fabric's going like this. Ah! And all of a sudden we felt our feet started lifting up on the ground. And then the next minute, the whole tent just kind of shot into the air. So when you're above a 1,500 metre drop and you're flying around in a tent, it's pretty scary. And we're all just like absolutely terrified. Then the next second, the tent like crashed down on the ice and it'd been held in check by all the ropes and stuff. And so began this like a horrendous kind of 14-hour kind of epic of just like flying around and being terrified. And it was like unbelievable. I think there's about some sound here, maybe. Is there any sound? So we're just in this tent and the noise and everything was just absolutely amazing. But your adrenaline, you've only got like so much adrenaline, it's like pumping out, like pump, 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 pump. And it's like, suddenly it's like, there's none left. And we're like, yeah, and then we're like, whoa, hey, it's great, this, woohoo. Yeah. I'm like totally like flying in a tent, dude. And get me a can of Red Bull, you know, ready to go. And anyway, so, and then people were like, after about 10 hours, it's like, Andy, tell us a funny story. I'm like, I can't tell you a funny story, we're all going to die. And it's like, so anyway, so it got worse and worse and worse. And then about 11 o'clock the following morning, I was just thinking, we've got to get out of here, Next minute, the whole tent just like flew in the air and it started ripping and it just ripped apart. And the next thing, we were all kind of like outside in this horrendous storm. But the thing is, often the worst thing is when you can't do anything, when you're just sat there waiting, it's when you're in your car and you've parked on a train line, and you're going, it's like, hang on, I'm going to do it. Yeah. If you get out and start pushing it, oh, that's a much better idea. And anyway, so that's only happened once, don't worry. And that's how Karen ended up in a wheelchair. And that's not a true story. And so the next minute we're all out, and the thing was now we were all fighting. We weren't just laid there waiting to die. We were all fighting, like, oh God! And when we said, what should we do? I was like, no, I think we should like just stand here until we die. It's like, let's get down the mountain. And the thing was, getting down this mountain, you almost knew that probably none of us would make it, but maybe one of us would. And if that was me, that was going to be okay. And so we just started abseiling. We had like sort of 56 abseils to do, and the wind was so strong that it was like, the gravity was reversed. You start abseiling down, and the wind would pick you up, and you'd be like, you won't be going anywhere. You'd be like, ha, 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 and you'd be like climbing back down again. And you'd lower one person down, and then they would find an anchor, and it was just absolutely terrifying. But at least we're doing something, you're just focusing on exactly what we're doing. And you thought, there's 1,000 ways I can die today, but probably about 99 of them, I can probably not die if I think about them. And there's only like 901 that could kill me. Anyway, so it's probably 99 ways. Anyway, it's pretty dangerous. And 10 times more dangerous than climbing Everest. That's how hard it was. Anyway, so we're abseiling down. I remember at one point we had this technique, which at the time I believed if you had to communicate with somebody over a long distance, you're best to go like have a high pitched noise. That's why women are really good to take climbing. And so you just go like, this thing where you just go like this, which is like what Australian cowboys do or something. And so one person would abseil down. So what happens? Communication is very important. So you're all there nearly dying of hypothermia. One person abseils down 60 meters, and then they stand there and they go like, I'm down. And then the other people don't hear them, and they're going, hurry up, what's he doing? They're going, what are you doing? Are you down? And he's like la la la. why don't you come down? I can't hear you. Anyway, so you're out there 5 hours waiting for someone. Anyway, so you have to communicate. So you go, and you go, apparently you actually should go, ooh, ooh. That's the technique, apparently. That goes much further. Anyway, so it's great when you're having sex. And if you go, when you're having sex, that's not so good. And people get quite scared about that. And anyway, so, especially for the cowboy and or cowgirl. And so we're abseiling down this mountain, and we're abseiling, and again, and the ropes are freezing, and we're all kind of just, we had nothing to eat or drink. There's these massive avalanches coming down. So this is someone being engulfed by an avalanche, and it would basically all the wind would be blowing up this couloir. It would push all the snow above us, and then it would all come back down again. And when I think I was about 5, I used to live in Towin, which is up the coast here. And when my dad was in the Air Force, and before I went to live in Hull, that was great days. And anyway, one Christmas day, I got washed into the sea by a big wave, and I started hallucinating that I was kind of, these were waves coming down, and the noise was exactly the same, like surf crashing in on a big storm. It was just like that, but you're like stuck in this little kind of couloir. So anything that fell down, avalanches, rocks, anything, people, and it was just horrendous. Actually, a little side note: a friend of mine abseiled down here a few years ago, and he saw what looked like human hair sticking out of a crack, and it was. Anyway, and that's how serious it is. And anyway, so basically there's not much to talk about here. We just abseiled down, and abseiled down a bit more. It got dark. We abseiled on and on and on and on and on into the dark, into the night. And this next photograph kind of sums up exactly how we all felt, really. They're not the eyes of a Red Bull sponsored athlete. They're the man who's on the very edge of dying, really. And so we abseiled all I was so tired and cold, and I kept saying, right, I'm going to start climbing down. I can't abseil anymore. I'm just start climbing down. And then they were like, no, Andy, stay with us. And then we do one more abseil, and it'd be like a massive big drop. And like, good job. And then eventually I was just like, look, we've been abseiling for like 12 hours. I can't do it. I'm going to start climbing down. So I started climbing backwards and slipped and started falling down this couloir. And I was thinking, like, great. You just abseil down 1,000 meters or something. Now you're going to die because you wouldn't just wait a few more minutes. And I was like rolling down in the snow and falling over things. And then all of a sudden there was like a big drop, and I landed in at the edge of the Bergstrand, which is like the crevasse at the bottom of the mountain. And I knew I'd survived. And I kind of just like, I just laid there, and then I got up, and I was just almost like crying. If I wasn't dehydrated, I would have been crying. And I remember like going, I'm beating you, you bastard. And then like the wind hit me, and the wind up there was like, that wasn't the real wind, that was like the wind was like, this big like truck hitting me. And I was like pushed down this glacier, and I was like rolling along like, oh God, what else can go wrong? And then out of the storm came Jim and Nick and everybody else. And the weird thing was, they all just kind of walked straight past me, and no one was like, "Are you all right, Andy?" They were like, "Yeah," and loser, and they all walked past me, and I was like walking behind them. I was staggering behind them. So I had nothing to eat for such a long time, and I could feel like bones I never felt before. Oh, I've broken me collarbone; it's sticking right out, and this one is as well. And I got these like big sticks sticking out my side. What are they? And it's so staggering behind them, and all I could think of was, we'll get down to the tent, our base camp at the bottom of this mountain. We'll get in our tent, we'll get the biscuits out and the tea and everything else, and it'd be amazing. Oh, it'd be so great. We'll be laughing about this. Anyway, so I was staggering behind them, and I find them like in a circle, just like kneeling in the snow, and it's like the wind's like, and I'm like, come on, let's keep going, let's get back to the tent, And I looked down and I realised there was like bits of metal and bits of fabric, and this was our tent. Our tent wasn't there anymore. It'd blown away into Chile somewhere, and it was just this horrendous, like you think you're running on empty, and all of a sudden it's like, no, you're not. You got another 50 miles to go, and it was just for a second no one knew what to do, and then someone found a pan and started like trying to make a snow hole in the snow, but the wind was so strong it just filled everything in immediately. And then someone said, get the tent out, get the bivvy tent out. So we got the tent out, which was it's all ripped on one side. And I remember that Paul must have been really not quite with it, because he tried to sew it up using a sling and a carabiner. He was trying to, anyway. And we all crawled into this tent, and all four of us laid on top of each other in this tent, and everything was wet, our sleeping bags and everything else, and we were like, we need something to drink. And I remember they told me, like, little important little things you learn off these guys. These guys have been to Antarctica and Alaska and everything else, and this was actually my first ever expedition I'd ever been on in my life, so it was quite a tough one. And they told me little things like, when you go to the toilet, when you got a tent, get the water from one side and go to the toilet on the other side. Things like that, really important things. Some of you probably didn't really realise that today when you were going for a wee outside your tent at 5 o'clock in the morning. And anyway, so we're like, great, get some water. So we get this pan of water, we get the stove out, and it's all, and the smell of the water, and we're trying to get, and it's going from white to transparent, and and all of a sudden this big turd appeared, and of all the snow to pick up, someone shoveled up the only bit of shit in the. Anyway, but we all survived, and kind of the moral of this story is, I'm losing my voice now. The moral of the story is, 2 weeks later, after having got back down to the village and everyone was really pleased we hadn't died and everything else, although we had this most horrendous experience, we decided to go back and do the first winter ascent of this mountain here, the 800-metre high Poinsonneau, and it seems quite amazing to me now, looking back at me as a climber and what I did and the things, what was I thinking? What was going on in my mind to be so ambitious and so carefree about life and everything. But that's because my inhibitor's not developed, still hasn't. And so really the moral of the story is that throughout my life, it's just been like one long disaster after another. I've failed so many times. You better judge somebody who's about what they fail at rather than what they're good at, that means I'm very good at failing. And so I just really like the fact that even though we almost died on this amazing experience, that we went back and we carried on climbing, and all of us, apart from one person, carried on climbing for the rest of their lives, really. But people ask me what's my favourite climb, what's the best climb I ever did, and it probably is that climb on Fitzroy, the one where I never got to the top. Because really the summit is not really that important for me. The most important thing is to struggle, and I just love struggling. And I think that you see the best in people when they're under pressure, when they're struggling. When they're sat playing the Nintendo Wii, they're not really at the best, So, so that's my story. Thank you very much.